Morning, friends. Our lesson today, it's about the promises of God. In 2 Peter chapter 1, verse 4, whereby are given unto us exceeding great and precious promises. And you got to think about it. You know, when God makes a promise, failure is not in His dictionary. If we meet the conditions, the promise, it's drawn on the bank of heaven. It's a check that can't bounce. So I got a lesson on Bible promises, and it was life-changing. 25 years ago, I was working in the administration in a hospital. A lot of paperwork, sitting at a desk, and my heart was to do public health evangelism. That's what I wanted to do. And finally got an invitation, and I was excited when I got it. Got an invitation to go down to Copper Canyon. And we'd be sharing, got an invitation to share with some folks, some Indians, Tarahumara Indians. Ended up, they were cave dwellers in the Copper Canyon, to go down and share some things, spiritual and health things in Mexico. And of course, people spoke Spanish down there, so I had a translator and started preparing. I had a good friend who was older and wiser than me. And he had been an evangelist, and I asked him, I said, well, you know, how do I approach this? What do I do? I don't know how. It's what I want to do, but don't know how to do it. He said, well, first thing, get yourself a promise. I said, okay, because I knew in 2 Peter 1:4 that he's given us exceeding great and precious promises. He said, you need a promise. And I thought, that's what I need, because I knew promises of God can't fail. In Jeremiah 32:27, I am the Lord, the God of all flesh. Is anything too hard for me? The answer, no. Now, failure is not in God's dictionary. So I thought, okay, I need a promise. So I was praying, I was reading, and then I found one. It was when Moses was called to go back into Egypt and lead God's people out. And he was a little reluctant to go. He felt like maybe he wasn't the man for the job. And the Lord told Moses, and this is the promise that I claimed. Exodus 4, verse 12. It says, now, therefore, go, I will be with your mouth, and I will teach you what you shall say. I said, that's it, perfect. And I said, Lord, I'm going to go to Mexico, and I know this is a promise for me. You're going to teach me what to say. And then I went. And I went down there in an RV with some friends. It came time for the first meeting, had a nice group of Tarahumara Indians and a young man translating beside me. I'd studied up, prayed up, I was ready to share. And you know, I was curious, when I got in front of a lot of people, I kind of froze up. I got nervous. I started to sweat, and kind of my mind went blank. Didn't know what to say. And something like that. And to be honest with you, it was a public embarrassment. I just wanted to crawl under a rock. So when the meeting was over, went back, went to the RV, put my head under the pillow, and thought, that was just absolutely terrible. Now, I never thought about the promise again until sometime later. But I remember thinking, you know, that promise, I'll be with your mouth, I'll teach you what you shall say, you know, it didn't appear to work. It didn't appear to work, and then God gave it to me. My dear friends, it worked better than I could even imagine, because the promise wasn't that He would supply words where people would think I was educated and professional in my presentation. No, the promise was, I will be with your mouth and I'll teach you what to say. My friends, in that great failure that night, I saw that God taught me lessons that I could not learn otherwise. So when we claim the promise, it may not be fulfilled in the way that you or I think, but let God cash it in the bank of heaven the way He sees is best. I look back on that night, and I think I learned more in that night about sharing gospel truth and sharing health information than I've ever learned before in such a short period of time. I thank God that the promise was sure, but it just was not fulfilled in the way that I was looking for. So let God have His way. Let divine providence, let intervention, His divine intervention work in our lives. You know, if you think about it too, and all the promises in the Bible, I'll just use maybe the biggest one, Genesis 3:15. I'll put enmity between the woman and between thy seed and her seed. You know, between Adam and Eve and the enemy. God was going to put something between them that would repel, enmity. Because when Adam and Eve sinned, they were captive. But the Lord built something into their hearts that they could withstand the temptations of the enemy and come back home to God. Well, that's the promise, Genesis 3:15. But in verse 17, the Lord says, "Cursed is the ground for your sake. In sorrow you shall eat of it all the days of your life." My dear friends, you learn something in sweating out there in the garden in the book of nature that you don't learn in a prosperous, easy life. God made a promise to Adam. Look, I'm going to rescue you from this pit you've fallen into. That's the promise. But the fulfillment of the promise included go out to the garden, thorn and thistle, sweat and work. This is how I'm going to fulfill the promise. So let the Lord answer. When we claim a promise, let Him answer in the way He sees is best as He meets our needs and responds to our promises. Responds to our claim on His promises. My friends, claim a promise and have a blessed day.